Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I am joined today by my brother, the Gritty Broman. How are you, Brent?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm so cool I can wear sunglasses indoors. Good. I've been out in the mountains a lot this fall. Had a great season. Back home now.
You came home for Thanksgiving.
I did.
You were out in the wood for like 3 months straight, and then came home for Thanksgiving.
For a day, and then went back out. It was awesome.
I'm sure your wife loved that.
Yeah. No, it's great to be back. We got a lot of things going on. A lot of film we're in the middle of producing right now. We have a 4 or 5 part mule deer hunt that we're putting out with Ryan Lampers and I in a wilderness area. James Sylvester was with us, a talented photographer, and consequently, Ryan's cousin. I should say coincidentally, Ryan's cousin. He looks sort of Mongolian to me, James does.
Yeah.
So, obviously, he married into the family. Unless there's something I don't know about. Yeah. Pretty awesome dude, though. Anyway, the videos are coming together. Mike Mutzel was there, and Metabolic Mike, and for the first part as well. So we all had
love
a
that
great
name.
time.
He sounds like someone who eats 12 chickens a day.
Does he? He might. You know, he's got
and
he's got his diet down.
Eating window.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to get Mike on the podcast. He's just a wealth of information on health and diet and all that kind of stuff. This week, I'm going to meet with Ryan Lampers, and we're going to do a few podcasts about the mule deer hunt and other things as we get ready to roll out the film. So he's going to come down and visit. Also going to hang out with Heather Kelly from Heather's Choice, and we're going to sit down and podcast with her.
I don't think I've seen Heather since that BHA rendezvous.
Since the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of had a crush on her a little bit.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's not to like.
Yeah. We're going to try to meet up with Tanis and Doran since they're back from the bush. And catch up with those two crazy people. They're just awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So we got some fun interviews that we'll be getting out the door here soon.
Podcast with Anthony.
And I have a podcast with Anthony because we just finished this awesome archery mule deer hunt. Even though we didn't tag out, people were following that story on our Instagram, our IG story. Is kind of bringing people along little by little. We had some chances on some nice bucks. We just we blew it. It's one of those things. You know, Ryan Lampers was telling me about his first bear hunt he did with Lusk, kind of where we went this last year, where we shot 5 bears in 5 days.
Yeah,
between the 3 of us. And he learned some things for the following year because he didn't tag out that year the first time he went with Jeff. And then he went back and he really capitalized on it.
Slammed it.
I feel like that's where we're at. We learned so much. We just give us those dates again. Give us the locations. We're gonna make it happen next year. That's kind of how I feel, but you never know. But
well, you guys had to move your tree stand a couple times. They weren't quite in the right spot.
There were people breaking the law, driving theirs where they weren't supposed to. What
happened with that?
We reported it to the Game and Fish, and they got busted.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's just something satisfying about
justice was served. Yeah. Felt pretty good. So that was awesome. Today's podcast, though, we're just going to catch up on, give you a little update on what's going on. So there you go. That's kind of what's going on, what's in the pipeline. We're hoping to get our Muley series out by next week, maybe Sunday. And we're doing a ton of giveaways around that. So leave a comment, and you're entered to win.
Yep. We got Mountain Ops products we're going to give away.
Benchmade.
We got trekking poles. We got Benchmade. I have a sweet spotting scope in my closet I've been holding on to.
I might give away my Hoyt bow.
Maybe. Or, give it to me. But whatever. I suppose we could give it away.
So, yeah, we got some cool stuff coming down. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
So look forward to that next week. And we'll try to get some info out on it and get it going. It'll be kind of like our open season thing we did before for about 4 weeks.
That open season made me want to kill myself. That was so much work.
Yeah, for Brent. Brent was a real novice at the time. And he was
I don't think my novice status had much to do with it.
Oh, come on.
So much as the quantity of work dropped in the lap.
Oh, come on. I did most of the work. Don't listen to him, folks. And then we're going to do a Q&A right now and address some questions that have come through. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was Brent published a podcast. I
think it was a perfectly acceptable title and that people should have listened to it before they left comments.
So Brent left to his own devices can sometimes...
Brent has to come up with these titles. Brent has to come up with these thumbnails.
And Brent fails miserably often.
No. I don't feel this was a failure at all. Continue.
On episode 513, where we sit down and we talk a little bit about this mule deer hunt I did with Ryan.
Some bow hunters got butt hurt.
Well, Brent titles the podcast. What was it? Is bow hunting easier than rifle hunting?
Or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a dumb question.
No, it's
a dumb question.
It's a dumb question, but we got some engagement.
Dude. So people, of course, said,
"Are you serious?"
on their that is a stupid question. Which they're right. Another guy wrote, "Rifle hunting is easy, bro." And he's right to an extent. So here's the deal. Like the issue, because Ryan basically on the podcast, I asked him, is this hunt harder or easier,
than bow hunting
for mule deer, And Ryan was like, Ryan's done it all. Ryan Lampers, stealthy hunter. He was out there.
He was a guide forever and a day.
True, but I mean, just in terms of time spent in the wilderness and hunting and big mature animals. And he's like, his point was, the archery season in August, for example, in Nevada, it's much easier, he thinks, to kill a giant buck in August with a bow and arrow. Way, way easier in his opinion.
Yeah.
He'll take that hunt any day of the week. That is a easy hunt compared to a late season rifle mule deer hunt, trying to kill a very old and mature animal. So he's like, they're not the same. So that was his claim. That was Lamper's.
And I simply paraphrased it.
Of course, people, the way the title read, it's like, okay, if we walk out into the woods and it's August, okay, and we're mule deer hunting, and we spot a mule deer on the hill, and let's say he's 190 inches, and you say, which weapon is easier to kill it with, a bow or a rifle? Every idiot on the planet will say a frickin' rifle is easier to kill it with, and they're right. But the point was, you don't get to use a rifle during that hunt. You get to use a bow, and you don't get to use a bow, on this other hunt. The point is, these are two different hunts. So which of the two hunts are more difficult, or which of the two hunts are easier to accomplish? And all Ryan was saying was finding a really old mule deer buck in, mid to late October with a rifle for the caliber of buck he's looking for is a much harder challenge, a much bigger challenge than what he's able to do with a bow and arrow in August in terms of the same caliber of buck. So he's like, they're all like orange coated, popping off the mountain. They're green. You're not freezing your butt off. The big bucks are easy to spot. They're all in the alpine area. They're not on guard like they normally are because they're all in velvet. His whole point was the weapon, in this case, for him, the weapon doesn't make it easier or harder. It's the actual hunt you're on. Comparing the two hunts, the rifle one's harder, much harder to achieve the goal. So anyway, that's the context.
Yes. And see how long to get that context? I can't put that nuance into a title.
Dude. So anyway.
I triggered some folks.
Yeah, you triggered. Is that really a question? I now only hunt with a gun as I am older now. Yeah, bow hunting is much more complex calling it.
There's another gentleman on there who had my back too.
Yeah.
What he called it today's techno bow hunting.
Yeah, this guy's totally right. Howdy, bros. He can't be serious. One shoots 3,000 feet per second, the other 300. Do the same hunt with a bow, and I'll bet he changes his mind. So, again,
you can't.
The point was comparing this hunt to the other hunt, not the weapon per se. The weapon's really, it's like, which one can I pull a bigger buck out of?
Mm-hmm.
Which one am I more likely? I mean, Ryan has demonstrated with a bow in hand in early season, he's able to smash some giant bucks, some of his biggest bucks. He's also demonstrated he can do it in late season with a rifle, but per his own experience and opinion, that's much harder to do than the archery. Anyway, that's one guy's opinion. It was good. The question was phrased wrong. I called Brent up. I was on my hunt in Idaho. And I'm like, hey, bro, seriously?
I should have just made it look like a quote from Ryan Lampers, and then no one would have said anything.
Then I'm like, fix the freaking title. It's misleading. It's clickbaity, but it also is just a dumb question.
It was super clickbaity, and guess what? They responded
like there's no comparison, bro. 300 feet per second, 3,000 feet per second. Anyway, next question. Thomas Hash said on YouTube, the conversations on this podcast are great. They keep me motivated to push harder when I am in the mountains. They motivate me to push the limits of the adventures that I have available. Keep up the great work, Brian. That was not really a question.
No, that was a pat on the back for you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Brent.
You're welcome.
Brent put the agenda together. That was late season recap with Dwayne the Rock Sessions. He and I did a for those that don't know, we did an elk hunt together, late season elk hunt, over the counter. It's a rough, tough hunt. We tried to pluck a big, mature 300-inch, 310-inch plus type bull out of the hunt, but couldn't find a bull of that caliber.
I was thinking about it. The difference between Dwayne the Rock Sessions and Dwayne the Rock Johnson is like 3 letters.
Yeah.
I was also making that kind of clickbaity. You're welcome.
So Adam Smith said, what shelter and stove are you running now? So I've said it. I've talked about it a bunch. I'm running the Seek Outside Cimarron, and it's the Dyneema Cuban fiber Cimarron.
Did you get a bigger stove for that?
So I have the medium stove, and I also picked up the large, what is it? It's like the large short.
The biggest one they have, right?
No.
It's not?
No. They have like an XL.
Okay.
Which
is the one that I borrowed?
Or something.
Is that the medium?
Yep. Yep.
I need a bigger stove.
So keep in mind, Brent, like when it gets bigger, it gets heavier,
Yes, but you're talking about like maybe a pound for a lot more.
My issue, though, is it gets so freaking hot with the size I had. So,
my sleeping bag broke.
Yeah.
I accidentally ended up taking a child-sized sleeping bag with me. Whoopsies. Didn't zip up.
I haven't used the bigger stove yet. We'll see. We'll test it. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to use it, especially when the temperatures got to -5, -10 degrees, below zero temps. It was rough. But the medium did great. So it's for backpacking in remote country with the Cimarron. Really, I got the larger stove to go with the Red Cliff, which is the 3-man teepee. It's actually bigger than a 3-man, but it fit me, Ryan, and James in it. Really comfortable for the second half of the mule deer hunt. And we just needed a slightly bigger stove to accommodate the bigger shelter. So I've got that now. If you haven't tuned into one of the earlier podcasts with Seek Outside, you really should. We did a little tour of the facility, and they broke down their new U-turn titanium stove.
Genius.
It's genius. It really is. And the stoves made by Seek Outside, they outperform anything I've used by other companies. They just act more like a stove. They're laser cut. They're actually precision put together. They're pretty solid. They're lightweight, and then you're able to actually shut the flue, damp it down. Control it like you would a
vacuum.
Control it like you would a real stove. And that's huge, for efficiency and controlling the temperature inside the teepee. And with the U-turn setup, they shaved like another 6 ounces or
I think it was
10, 8 ounces from the overall weight. So now you're talking about a true sub 3 pound setup for basically a 9.5 by 9 foot footprint teepee with a titanium stove.
A tough teepee. On that mule deer hunt that we're going to publish here pretty soon, that thing is in some whipping winds. Like, it looks like it's going to get blown down.
Yeah, we beat the crap out of it. And we put it in it's 4th season, snow, blizzard, storm, wind. We've tried to get it to just fail us. Did the same thing in New Zealand. And so far, the shelter is it's been bulletproof. Dwayne and I put it through some paces as well. The shelter, it's like anything. When you're putting up a shelter like that, location matters, and how you pitch it matters. You got to pitch it right, and you got to put it in the right location. But although we put it on a bare naked knob in 60 mile an hour winds, and the thing just took a beating and did fine. So, but that's what I'm running. The reason I use the Dyneema Cuben fiber, somebody wrote in there and he goes, I thought you used to, use Kifaru. And, why aren't you still using Kifaru? Isn't it built better?
I saw one of those messages. They reposted your thing, and they said, get a Kifaru.
Yeah, get a Kifaru. And I'm like, well, you know what? For the same square footage, the same foot space, the same, space shelter, I got to carry 6 pounds. And I don't think it's as efficient of a space. I don't think it's as easy to pitch. It's not more durable. It's not any tougher. So
I've never used a Kifaru stove.
It's kind of like a Smith stove. It just sort of leaks a lot of air. It's not tight. So it's either hot or cold, like super hot or it's burning out. Being able to seal to really shut that thing and seal it down is a big deal. So in my opinion, it's 6 pounds or 3 pounds for the same living space, right? Why would I carry a shelter that's 6 pounds for the same living space that I can carry for 3? And when it comes down to like the individuals that work at Seek, they're just awesome people.
The man with 2 first names,
Kevin, Tim, they're just awesome. So they're a great company to support. They have awesome people there, and like I said, having 3 pounds, that means I can carry that giant spacious shelter and a stove for less than 3 pounds of weight. For late season, it's tough to beat. And like I said, for the competitors, I got to carry 6 pounds, and I don't think it pitches as easy. I think it needs too big a footprint. I don't think it heats as well because the stove isn't as good. So again, nothing personal. I just feel like that's just such a big deal, having that efficiency of weight. So I'm a big fan. Now, it comes with a downside. That space age fabric is expensive. So you got to really decide, is it worth it to you for saving those extra 3 pounds? Cutting the weight in half, is it really worth it? And, for some guys, it won't be. But Seek also does a good job of coming out with, for example, their Silex shelter.
That Silex is sick.
It's awesome. Zipperless design. It seals tight to the ground. You can get it in sil nylon, and you can get it with a stove jack. Run the little U-turn cub in there or something, and you have a one-man castle. And I think it's $200 for the Silex. $200.
That's nuts.
So you pitch it with your own trekking poles. It's super light. I don't know. I can't remember the weight now. About a pound, something like that. You'll have to check. You can also get that same shelter, though, in Dyneema Cuben fiber.
That's cool.
And really make the weight light. But right now, they haven't quite got the Dyneema Cuben fiber built with a stove jack yet. They're doing a bunch of testing because they want to make sure that when you're using that small of a space, that when it gets super hot, that the Cuben fiber is built to take year after year of that kind of heat. So they've gone through a lot of testing on the bigger sizes, bigger shelters, but this is a lot smaller, and so they're still looking at that. But still, I mean, the Sil nylon's so lightweight, you can go there, and the price is right. So they've crushed it with that shelter. It's an awesome shelter. So anyway, there's what I'm using on that. Like I said, check out that podcast. We did a tour of the facility. We hang out. We talk with Kevin Tim about Seek Outside products and stuff. Chris at Ford says, see, you are bow hunting and it looks freezing. What boots and gloves are you wearing? So I'm going to get into this a little more with Anthony when we do our podcast this week, because we were bow hunting mule deer late season. It was freezing cold, and we were sitting in tree stands. A lot of whitetail guys have systems figured out on how they want to do it, what they wear, and how they do it. I have a system for me where I am warm and cozy, and I can stay in my tree stand from morning till dark. And it's great gear. It's expensive, so it's not for everybody. I realize, like, I get my stuff. There's this stuff I would purchase in my late 30s or 40s when I had some wealth built up. Would never have purchased before. And because of what I do for a living, I definitely invest in it. Because of how much priority I put on the outdoors and out hunting, I invest in it. But I realize it's expensive. But they were asking what boots. So for boots, it's really tough to beat Lacrosse. I think they're the Alpha Burley. And I believe I have the 1,600 gram of insulation, Insulate or something like that. They're awesome. Now, I use the Grabber heated foot inserts, the full length foot inserts. So a lot of times people buy those little toe inserts.
Yeah.
Stupid. Don't buy those. They're just a waste of money. They just barely take a little edge off. Get the full length foot warmers. I like the Grabber. I can't remember. There's a few different brands. Try them out. But those foot inserts last a lot longer in rubber boots where there's less oxygen. Like those little chemical hand warmers, the little baggies you open up, the hot hands, stuff like that. They last longer with the less oxygen they get. They also burn hotter. So I put those in the bottom of my boot, and I can stay all day, and my feet are warm all day in below freezing temps like that. For my hands, I don't like to have my hands covered if I'm shooting a bow. I like to have my hands free, but it's ice cold. Like the cold burns your hands. It's so cold. Mm-hmm. What I like to do in that case is I wear a mitten on my left hand, like the Blizzard GTX, like the Sitka mitten that is used for tree stand hunting. That's part of the Whitetail series. They have a big old like soft mitten. I like to use that. And if you pull the mitten back, your fingers are exposed, but they still are covered in like a glove.
Hobo gloves.
Yeah. So that I like on my left hand if I'm holding my bow in my hand and it's just sitting there. But my way of keeping my hands warm is I wear that Sitka Fanatic jacket and bibs. And that's a big part. I know it's expensive. It's like, I think it's $1,000 for the bibs and the jacket together. I think somewhere in that ballpark, maybe more. But I was sitting in my stand and I was warm the whole time while Ben and Anthony were freezing their cans off and everyone else. Literally the bibs and the jacket, and then there's a kangaroo pouch because the zipper goes across sideways. So your hands can go into that kangaroo pouch, and I fill that pouch, that hand warmer pouch with
stuffing it with hot hand after hot hand.
Get rid of it. Never spend the money. Like Costco sells the little hot hand packets and stuff. Never buy those, man. Those little tiny packets don't do jack.
So you're buying full-size body warmers?
Body warmers. Don't waste your money on anything smaller. Don't. Take those body warmers, spend the dollar bills. You can use one body warmer for each hand, and they will burn hot from morning till dark and keep each hand warm in a way that 5 or 6 little hot hands never can do. and you end up opening package after package after package. You're trying to suck some warmth out of them, and it's just not there. Buy the body warmers. Buy the full length foot warmers. That's the only way to go. That's my opinion. And you stuff that thing with, a couple hand warmers, and your right hand's in there warm and cozy in that little kangaroo pouch.
Have you tried any of those rechargeable hand warmers?
Left hand. No. I did use battery operated socks for years,
Mm-hmm.
back when I hunted blacktails up on Mount Hood in the snow. Because Anthony and Ben and I are no stranger to hunting in freaking cold tree stands day after day, trying to kill giant blacktail bucks in
Mount Hood.
Yeah, Mount Hood region of Oregon, the upper Clackamas and the foothills of the mountain. We've been there. We've done it day after day in some freaking cold, wet temps.
So why no longer electric socks?
The batteries, they take D batteries usually.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use like a D battery a day.
Oh, dang.
And it's just a hassle. And, you can grab those packages for your foot, just slide one in there and boom. One thing I recommend is a Pete's boot dryer. So every night when you get out of the stand, your rubber boots, there's nowhere for heat and condensation to go.
Mm-hmm.
So the inside of your boot gets
Is a swamp.
soaked. Like I have sweaty feet, so I see a buck coming, a big buck, and my feet get all sweaty, and I just gush sweat inside the boot because I just get totally sweaty feet when I get excited. Adrenaline produces sweaty feet and hands. That's just how I've always been that way since. Like my wife doesn't like to hold my hand in a movie theater because I just gush sweat all over. So when I get home at night, I put those rubber boots on the Pete's boot dryer, and it dries out the boot. And then by morning, it's ready to rock again.
Smart.
Trying to find a boot dryer for leather boots that I could actually backpack with. Our buddy Luke Dusenberry.
The Bury.
Yep. He brought a little boot dryer deal he bought from REI that runs off like an ashtray. And I think I could rewire that to rig it to run off of, it also runs off AC. I could rig it to run off some batteries, maybe even, it's just some kind of setup that I can pack in and run it off batteries. But it produces it's got a little tiny heater, a little fan. So you drop that down in your boots. I'd love to have that backpacking. It'd be worth it for me because after 3 or 4 days of backpacking and hiking, my feet sweat a lot. My leather boots get wet from the inside from condensation from my feet, not from the outside. And anybody who knows when you're in super cold temperatures in the backcountry, it's really tough to dry the inside of a boot without like a boot dryer. It really is. You can sit here and stick it like up high in your teepee and try to let the moisture, the heat get, but it just doesn't want to go into the actual inside of the boot, So you end up having a damp boot day after day as the weeks go on. And when it's really cold, it doesn't take much of a wet boot inside from your sweat to just really kind of make your feet cold each day.
Makes you miserable.
But I also pack in a few of those heat packets for the second half of the hunt, and it's just nice. It's worth the wait so those things will last me like 6, 8, 10 hours, So what'll happen is you'll sit and you'll glass. So when we stop, I'll throw those boot warmers into my boots, those foot warmers into my boots. And then we'll glass. And it's like, okay, now we're going to go hike up the mountain further. I'll pull those foot warmers out. You put them into a Ziploc, like a gallon Ziploc, and lock in the heat, and they'll last all day. You can pull them out and put them back in your boots when you stop, and it works great. So anyway, we're going to get into the full system of what we used and then talk about that mule deer hunt a little more with Anthony later this week. It was a sick hunt. We saw some giant deer.
How come we didn't shoot it?
I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's see here. DIY Hunter _official. He leaves a comment. He says, I know you guys run 300 wins. What models do you guys like? We'll get Lampers on the podcast later in the week, but I'm running a Christensen Arms 300 win mag. the
Is it the
Ridgeline.
Ridgeline?
Both Ryan and I have crushed some animals with that this year. We put a lot of animals down with that gun. I love that gun. Ryan also has a couple of Weatherbees that he's using. Still the same caliber, 300 Win Mag. Although on this latest hunt, he used
Was it a 270?
a 6.5.
Oh, Creedmoor.
Wasn't a Creedmoor.
This is a 6.5?
6.5 R&R or R. I can't remember.
We will ask Ryan.
Yeah. So we'll get into that when we sit down with Ryan. Look forward to that later this week or next week. Is it illegal in some states to, when you're archery hunting, to carry a sidearm? Yes, it's illegal in some states. I don't know which ones. You'll have to look that up. It's state by state. I think it's ridiculous. You should be able to carry a sidearm 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But in some states, it's a problem.
But, okay.
Yeah. Seems like,
What if you have like a CD, like a concealed weapons license, or what if the state's open carry?
yeah, I don't know the rules on all that.
That's weird.
Yeah. David F. Maple. We'll do this last question. He said, the Gritty Crew, this is on Hunting Wolves and with Corey Jacobson. And Corey on this podcast, on this Hunting Wolves podcast, Corey mentioned how he wants to broaden his hunting from elk to other animals you can call.
Vocal animals.
Vocal animals, because he just likes calling.
Hmm.
So he's been calling wolves. That's kind of what brought
So
it
this
up.
this isn't actually a question. He's answering someone else's question, and I thought it was really good info.
So one of the animals one of the animals that Corey talked about wanting to hunt is Sika deer.
That's SIKA.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused
Because
with Sitka
They're vocal
deer.
and they talk. And so David F. Maple, he writes, to the Gritty Crew and FYI, for those who want to hunt Sika deer in Virginia, the only population in Virginia is on Assateague Island. I probably said that wrong. They have also in recent years been seen further south on the eastern shore of Virginia. Sika deer are most often seen near marshes, at forest edges, or in the marsh. However, they are also found in the extensive stands of loblolly pine on the island. We used to come across them, see them, really hear them when hunting ducks and squirrels with hawks back in the 80s. Thanks for the continued gritty podcasts while I'm grinding at the bench. And rock on, respect, and big love, Dave Maple, Tuckamore Custom Knives. That's cool. So, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it would be cool to hunt a new animal like Sika deer right here in the United States. You know, I think he hunted them. I think in fact his new season on Meat Eater that's out on Netflix, I think it's a video of them hunting Sika deer.
There's a lot of animals that I've been looking into lately that I want to try hunt. 'Cause I think
I
they're
could just totally freaking wrong. But I remember they did a podcast on, I thought it was Sika deer. Pretty sure I'm right, but I haven't checked out the new season of Meat Eater. I'm pretty stoked on that. I got now that I'm back in civilization, and I'm hungry for
catch up.
Yeah, hungry for hunting content. The new season of Meat Eater is out on Netflix. Looking forward to that. Love me some Meat Eater. Use the code GRITTY and you'll save on sissy sticks for your trekking poles, which will help hold up your Silex from Seek Outside.
Yes, if they have them, they had a sale and they kind of
Black Friday and Cyber Monday has come and gone.
Yes, and Sissy Sticks, Big Sissy Gear, they're kind of out of stuff right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, folks. So maybe not use the code GRITTY. Actually, there are some sticks still available, right?
Yes, they're skiing editions.
Okay. Well, hopefully the new inventory comes in really soon.
I'm sure they are. We will get on Bryce about that.
Okay. And then use the code GRITTY and you can save with Heather's Choice.
Yes, 10% off whatever you want.
And folks, you really should get some Heather's Choice. The salmon chowder is tough to beat. You know, for a backpacking meal.
Excuse me, any of the packaroons.
And the packaroons. Like the
hard
mandarin,
to beat. You
the
say it's
orange,
hard to the orange one, the orange mandarin, or is it no? It's orange vanilla, isn't it?
whatever. The orangey one is freaking bomber.
It's yeah.
Ryan loves the
He's in the
espresso one.
yeah. He's like a
I think the espresso one is a little like dry. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but he loves it.
I can see that because he
Loves
just
it.
chews forever.
He loves
It sucks all
coffee,
the moisture
too.
out of your mouth.
Yeah. So there's that.
10% off. Use code Gritty.
Yeah, code Gritty.
Get free shipping at Mountain Ops. Type in code Gritty.
Yep, free shipping. And there's a bunch of stuff going on in Mountain Ops where you can win like knives and all kinds of stuff when you purchase a certain amount. You're entered to win a bunch of things.
They're doing a bunch of raffles. They have like a duck hunting raffle, a deer hunting raffle. You get all the gear and a hunt and stuff for it. And there's also Crispy. Crispy's having a sale right
Crispy
now.
Boots.
They're annual. They're having a 20% off from now until December 8th
December 8th. So
on everything.
that's awesome because Crispy doesn't go on sale very often, and it's a big purchase
Pretty much
item.
like once a year.
You're like a $400 item at 20% off. That's pretty legit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Because that's like $80 off, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And subscribe to the newsletter.
Yeah. Then you'll find out when we finish this muley hunt video series here coming up real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And subscribe to YouTube. We'd like that.
That's
We'd like our
cool.
subscriber list to be a little bigger.
Because you're not really a citizen of YouTube unless you have 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. We're not citizens.
No.
In fact, whenever we do like a YouTube push, we grow like 10,000 subscribers and then we don't grow at all for like another year. We're terrible about this sort of thing, asking people to follow us. And
It's not just that, but YouTube has a lot of like rules, and if you don't toe the line, they just don't favor you.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we just don't toe lines very well, Bri.
Yeah, we just don't. We're not gerbils in the wheel. And we don't.
Bunch of rebels.
So, anything else? I think.
Nope. I think next time people tune in, they're going to be hearing Anthony's sweet voice.
Yes. On the mule deer, archery mule deer hunt we just finished. And then we'll hear from Lampers on another late season mule deer, the rifle one for the video series. We'll hear from Heather on some diet and nutrition and backcountry food. And we'll get in touch with Tanis and Dorn here real soon as well and hear about some freaking adventures with BC backcountry and beyond, or backcountry BC and beyond.
Backcountry BC Beyond.
Those two are hilarious.
You need to follow them on Instagram.
I do.
No, the people.
What people?
The people. The people who we're speaking to in their ears right now. Those people should go and follow Backwoods Barksman. Backwoods Barkman? Barkman.
Mm-hmm. On Instagram.
They don't post a lot, but her posts are
It's because
on
they're in the
point.
bush for 4 months, you know?
Yeah.
They're not, they have zero cell service. Just, yeah. All right. I think that's it. I think it's time to call it a day. Stay gritty, folks.